Walt Disney presents.
When you wish upon a star, make no difference.
Each week as you enter this timeless land, one of these many worlds will open to you.
Welcome to the Discover Magic podcast. My name's Matthew, and this is my wife.
I'm Amy from Discover Magic Travel, and we are the Castle Chronicles family. We're a family of 4 from a small town in Ohio. We have 2 boys, and we love to travel.
We especially love to travel to Walt Disney World.
Yes. On last week's episode, we covered the rides at Animal Kingdom.
All 7 of them.
And this week, we're going to jump to Hollywood Studios.
Yay.
This is a park that I think is probably my least favorite.
I would say it's my least favorite too, although going over the list of rides, I kind of looked at it and was like, well, maybe the park's not my favorite, but maybe the rides are some of my more favorable ones.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think this is partly my least favorite because I don't ride a lot of the rides here. And it also has, I think we've said before, like the least Disney magic feeling to it as a park.
There's really no magic. I would say the lands, 2 of the lands in particular, probably have a little bit more magic behind them. But other than that, the rest of the park layout, the theming is not the greatest for us. I mean, it may be for somebody else. Maybe you love it, or maybe you love the old MGM or how that felt or whatnot. But for us, it just doesn't really tick the box as far as magical moments go at Disney World.
I think it is what you make it to be. So let's jump right into it. 9 rides, we're ranking them from our
worst to first.
Right, least favorite to most favorite. So I'll start with number 9 because
I want to wait. Let's preface this by saying there are going to be some people upset at our rankings.
Oh, probably.
Like this is not the most favorable list of rankings.
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, it's just what we like to do.
Yeah,
right?
It can't please everybody.
No.
Ever.
Okay, so.
All right, so number 9 is Alien Swirling Saucers.
Bum, bum, bum.
So this is a ride in Toy Story Land. You do have to be 32 inches to ride it, so it is good for a lot of the little ones. And
it's kind of like a spin and barf.
It's similar.
Is that what we call them?
I don't know. Is it similar to like a tilt-a-whirl at a fair?
I would say it's similar.
Where
to
you
that,
kind of
right?
spin and you get like pulled, and I mean, or a scrambler, kinda.
Yeah.
But I really like riding it also because I don't ride a lot of the other rides, but I actually think it's a lot of fun.
It is fun, right? It's the one that's got like the little cart in the back that's being pulled behind like the alien in the front.
Yeah.
And you kind of interlace between the other tracks and it kind of spins you around that way.
And you spin. I think you can fit probably like 3 people if you have like you and one small child in each car, I think. I'm pretty sure. And again, is it worth an hour wait? No. But it's a fun little ride that, a lot of these rides you'll find are not geared for like little ones at Hollywood Studios.
And this one's requirement is 32 inches, I think, for height requirement.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
Did you already say that? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm only half paying attention. You're so pretty. I have to, So yeah, I would say it is a good ride, but it's in this park, as far as rankings go, it would have to be at the bottom.
Absolutely. Okay.
So,
number 8.
Number 8. This is going to kill some people. Yeah. And it kind of hurts me, but it's not as good of a ride as it should be, I think. And that's going to be Smuggler's Run at Galaxy's Edge. And it's great the first time you go on it. And for those of you that don't know, you're loading into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. And there are 6 seats, 2 pilots, 2 gunners, 2 engineers. Mm-hmm. And you're flying the Millennium Falcon. But the biggest issue I think I have with this ride is only 2 people are really doing anything in the front of, the pilot and the co-pilot are steering the ship and doing things. And you're looking at a giant screen and the cockpit moves and it.
Yeah.
It
no, it's great.
Other than that, you're just pressing buttons in the back and I feel like you're disconnected from the story of what's going on.
Maybe a little bit. I mean, I really enjoy this ride just because, again, it's one of the few rides that I do there. The queue is great. Yeah. Stepping into Galaxy's Edge and seeing the Falcon there is amazing, especially if you're a Star Wars person like we are.
Yeah.
You do have to be 38 inches tall to ride this ride. and they always try to gear the pilot position towards the little kids.
Well, we try to at least, right?
No, Disney does too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they always try to preference the little ones to be the pilots. And so, I mean, it's still fun to sit in the back and push a bunch of buttons because you can still experience the scene in front of you.
Sure.
But it's kind of like a 3D experience. And so if you're like prone to motion sickness, you do get jolted around and you're flying and being hit, diving and things like that. So, I mean, I love the ride. I think it's a great ride, but it's not one of our favorites. Like, it's not a ride that every time we're there, we're not like, we have to go on Smuggler's Run.
No, I think what would help, maybe the story be pushed forward a little bit on that, is if they would take some cues from Star Tours and maybe change up the flight or the exact mission that you're going on with the Falcon. I think that would be
like
really...
the scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, I love the queue. I love Star Wars. The first time getting to sit inside the Falcon is an incredible
It's
thing.
great.
But it gets boring after you've done it a couple times. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, do I want to wait an hour and 15 minutes to
Yeah.
go ride that ride if you don't have it? They also have a single rider line on this. But know that typically if you're going to jump in a group of 4 or 5 and they're going to put a single rider in there, you're going to be stuck in probably the back
You will not be
seat
the
or something
pilot.
like that.
Yeah.
So you'd just be pushing buttons.
Yeah. I think that the artistry and the queue and the way that they built this ride is phenomenal.
It's
I
great.
will say you do feel like you're walking into a plane. I mean, it's not a plane,
it's
but
a hangar, right?
Yeah,
And you're getting in your spaceship.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
even the room where you go into where you are deciding who's going to do what, there's that table in there that you...
Yeah, it's
and
the hollow
boys
chest
sit.
table that
Yeah.
everyone is very familiar with on the YT class freighter on the Millennium Falcon. And, you know, there's a photo op there. When you're waiting outside in the queue even, like Chewie or Rey will come up and they'll be working on something on the Falcon, which is right outside
It's
of
very
the queue.
cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, it is really
It
cool.
is.
And this is another place at night. It's all lit up and you can hear, like, you know, ships flying overhead.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's really great. It's really great.
Yeah, it is. It's a good ride.
Moving on.
All right, number 7 is Toy Story Mania. There's a lot of great rides at this park, so it's hard to rank them. But Toy Story Mania is a ride that has no height requirement. So anybody can ride it, but just be aware, like if you're going to take your 1-year-old on it, there is a lap down pull bar that gets pretty tight. Because the ride, even though it's a 3D, you wear glasses and you're basically essentially shooting things, it does kind of spin you around when you're moving from screen to screen. So if you're going to bring your little one on it, just be aware that it does kind of spin you a little bit, which is one of the reasons I love it.
No,
but it's a 3D experience. You wear glasses and you're essentially shooting at targets to score points, and it's fun. It's a friendly little competition between you and whoever you're there's 2, so you can only ride with one other person, and then behind you are 2 people.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I think it's similar to Midway Mania at Disneyland. I'm not 100%.
I think that's what
I think
it's
it's the
called out
same
there.
thing.
Yeah.
And basically what the premise of that is like it's a bunch of boardwalk games or like fair carnival games that you're like going through different scenes.
Yeah, you're doing like a ring toss, and you're shooting balls into things, and
it's competitive in nature too because it keeps score and you get to be the best in your cart or whatever it is.
yeah.
whatever they
No,
call it. So,
this is a great ride. I would do this multiple times in the same trip. I really enjoy this ride. I know that both of our boys really enjoy this ride as well. And you will find that there is oftentimes a long wait for this ride.
there is.
Because again, there aren't very many smaller kid rides to do at this park, and this is one of them. So people, and who doesn't love Toy Story? Everyone wants to be in Toy Story
and it's
Land.
in the heart of Toy Story
Yes,
Land. And
yes.
if you don't know Toy Story Land specifically, you're shrunk down to the size of a toy. So when you're going through the queue on this ride, it's built out of like old
queue.
board games. Like if you look overhead, it's like Sorry and Monopoly, and all these things are over the top of your head. And
The queue is fantastic.
right. I think you're supposed to be like 3 or 4 inches tall. Like you're literally, and they make you feel that way too because
Yeah.
of the size and the grandeur of everything around you.
I forgot about the queue. The
Oh,
queue
it's
is
so cool.
fantastic.
It's so
I mean,
cool.
again, we're a family who buys Genie Plus every time we're there, so we don't stand in a lot of the queues, but we did stand in this queue, I think the last time we were there, and it just reminded me of how much I love it. It's so bright and colorful, and all the board games, and like the old school Candyland, and
it's just great.
Chutes and Ladders and things like that. It's a good queue to stand in.
Yeah, and it's
If you have to.
like even when you walk into Toy Story Land, right? Like you can notice like the lighting is giant Christmas tree lights.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
everything it's they did a really good job of that.
No,
now, me
definitely.
personally, I prefer Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin over this one.
Oh my gosh.
Which I get chastised
I
for
can't
every time I bring
believe
it up. But I
it.
do. I enjoy that one a little bit better than this one. But this one is a lot of fun. I do have fun with it.
It is great. And
I
Toy
get to be
Story Land is
competitive-
one of my
yeah,
favorite.
and I get to be competitive
lands.
with my boys, which is fun.
Yeah.
Mom wants nothing to do with the competitiveness.
Hey, I
of
try.
it.
I try to beat the boys if I'm riding with them, but I usually don't ever win. I'm not very good at it.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right, number 6.
Oh, number 6. This one's going to ruffle some feathers, especially for roller coaster enthusiasts, is Rock and Roller Coaster. It's currently closed right now, but it's opening up again summer of 24, so it should be open up again soon.
Yeah, I'll let you talk about Rock and Roller Coaster. The only thing I want to say are 2 things. One is the height requirement is 48 inches, so it's probably one of the tallest that you have to be for the rides that are at Disney World.
In general, yeah.
It is dark, it is fast, and I'll let you kind of allude to that.
Yeah, I think there are a few things that stand out as far as enjoyability and things like that go, but the queue itself is really kind of underwhelming. Most of it's in the outside concrete ramp, and you're just like snaking back and forth. But after that, you're going to walk inside of a recording studio, and they kind of move you around. You can, you see all that stuff. But then the pre-show queue is really neat because you walk in this big room and it's Aerosmith, and they're like recording something, and they're getting ready to leave for a concert, and they interact with the people. It's a taped, video thing, but they're interacting like, "Hey, everyone should come with us," type of deal. And then you go into the second room and you get in.
Aerosmith for now.
I
There
think it's
are
going to
rumors
stay
that they're
Aerosmith.
redoing it now.
What are they going to change it to? Taylor Swift?
No, everyone's saying Queen. But I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't see that happening. I would love that, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I think Taylor Swift is probably more.
Oh
more,
my gosh,
more
that's
down
not
the road.
going to happen either.
Anyway, or Beatles would have been great. But
the ride itself.
The ride itself is great. So you go through the queue, you get in this large limousine type looking car, and they strap you in, and you blast off going on this trip upside. I think it's one of the only coasters at Disney World that goes upside down. Right,
Yeah,
it has an inversion in it.
2 people in each row.
2 people in each row.
And then the harness is over your shoulders.
Yes, it's fast.
Yeah.
It's a fast ride.
And it's right off the bat, right? From like 0 to 60.
So it's a launch coaster,
Yeah.
right? So they'll load you up, and then you can hear Steven Tyler scream out, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes off, and then everyone blasts off, and you're upside down through this like day glow thing, and as they're blaring this Aerosmith music the whole time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I really do like it. It's
No,
an
definitely.
older coaster, so it jerks you around a little
Yeah.
bit. I will say the track is smoother now than it was previously when they did the last refurbishment on it. But it's a little dated, and I think a lot of the younger kids don't really know who Aerosmith is, although it hurts me to say that. But they're now on the oldie stations where we live. But
I will say that our boys really like this ride. So,
Yeah,
but also
I
our
think a lot
boys
of
are
people like
our
it.
boys are thrill seekers, and we live in Cleveland, Ohio, near Cleveland, Ohio, and so we're near Cedar Point. So they love like the giant roller coaster at Cedar Point. But this I think is probably one of like the biggest roller coasters at Disney. This and like maybe Everest. As far as
Tron
scare
and-
factor and like it goes upside down and it's fast and it shoots you off. So
Yeah.
just be aware if you have like kids that are maybe a little hesitant about trying a new coaster. This one is a little bit on the larger side. I think it would be scary for some if they're hesitant.
Yeah, I think if you have younger kids that want to do coasters, right, there's always like the Big Thunders and the Seven Dwarfs and stuff like that. This is more of an older.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's more geared towards an older crowd.
All right. Well, speaking of other roller coasters, so number 5.
Number 5. This, like I said, these aren't going to be everyone's favorite cup of tea as far as our rankings go, but it's Slinky Dog Dash.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can talk a little bit about the outside queue area and stuff.
Yeah,
like
the
that,
queue.
'cause-
So again, Toy Story Land is probably my second favorite land at Disney World. It's great to be in it, especially if you're a Toy Story lover. The queue, I think I've heard you guys say is actually kind of boring, but just being in the land itself and seeing Slinky run and ride and go, it's so cute. And there's
It is
music and he talks and like it's very cute. So I don't, as you all know, I don't ride the rides, but there's a great spot where I can look over and see you guys when he stops before he like goes and let's go and like launches. I usually like watch you and like to wave at you and take the pictures and everything. But I think it's a very family friendly coaster. From what I understand, you seem to think I could handle it. I don't think I could, but you can talk about like the actual ride itself.
Yeah, so there are 2 parts to handling and not handling a coaster, right? And we've talked about the front of the coaster versus the back of the coaster. right? So there are, if you're more of a thrill seeker on this, I suggest getting closer to the back because it's faster. It feels faster, or I don't know, the G-force is higher in the back than it is in the front, because the front of the coaster really feels slow as it goes through some of the moves and things on the ride. But like on the inside part of the queue, let's step back and understand what the ride is. So what its intent was to be, Andy is building with his toys this coaster in the backyard, like out of Connects and things like that, which again leads to the theming of Toy Story Land, which is really great. And he's using the toys that he has to create all these things. So you'll see like decks of cards holding things up, and it's great. It's really great.
I bet. Two-seater, right?
It's a two-seater. Yeah, probably holds 20, 24 people. The queue is usually pretty long. Like this is one that you should, if you're getting a lightning lane at Hollywood Studios, you have to grab this first. Yes. It will be gone.
1,000%.
We've seen it go from 7 in the morning. By 7:05, there are none left for the entire day.
I would say 7:01.
Yeah, they're gone for the entire day.
I mean, this is what everyone goes for first as far as Genie Plus goes. So it's a must. If it's a must-do ride for you, that needs to be your first thing that you grab in the morning.
Right. And you can't get an individual lightning lane. The individual paid for lightning lane.
No.
The only thing that's available in this park for that is going to be Rise of the Resistance.
Right. So during like peak season hours, this ride can be like up to a 2-hour wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Or longer. We've seen it even longer. And we've watched people wait in line for over an hour for the ride to open back up after maintenance. Yeah. Waiting for it to open just to get on. But it is a great ride.
It's a lot of fun, right?
We rank it a little bit lower because I think it lacks in... I understand it's supposed to be family friendly, and I guess maybe it would rank higher for me if I looked at it through that lens, but I look at it as a coaster, and it's maybe not as there. But... otherwise, great ride. If you've never been on it before, it's a lot of fun. You'll have a good time with it. The younger kids will enjoy it because it's not crazy over the top.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth doing. If it's your first time at Walt Disney World and you think your family would like it, it's probably a must-do.
Oh, it's absolutely a must-do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it just lends to the theming of that land, which is really, really spectacular.
All right, number 4. Number 4 is probably going to be the most controversial one that we've ranked on our list.
But one of our favorites across all the parks.
So number 4 is Star Tours. And I know everyone's going to be like, you guys are crazy. Like, Slinky's so much better and that ride is whatever. And I don't know. We are big Star Wars fans. This ride is one of my favorites because it's one that I can do. And I think the best part about this ride is that every time you ride it, it's different. Mm-hmm. There are like an insane amount of different stories and options that you can get, and actually coming soon, they're adding even more.
Yeah, so Season of the Force went ahead and added Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Andor, so there are more scenes available to choose from.
It's like over 100 possibilities.
So what it does is it randomizes like 3 or 4 different scenes specifically, like your initial scene, like your takeoff scene, like there's a bunch of different scenes, and if once you ride it, you'll understand what we're saying. Yeah. And those are randomized together. Right. So that just increases the ability to be on a different ride.
So the ride itself, you do wear 3D glasses. It's another 3D experience, which if you guys are listening, you'll catch on that these are my favorite rides. But you can load, I would say, probably like 40 people at minimum into one car at a time.
Maybe.
Oh, there's at least rows of, I think, 10
maybe
across.
Rows of 10. Is it 4 rows
and there's
of 10?
At least, if not more.
You might be right.
Yeah, so there's a large amount of people that can get on this ride at once. So the line tends to move very quickly, even if you don't have a lightning lane. It's usually not a long wait because people don't want to do it for some reason, which is crazy to me. We'll even go on it 2, 3, 4 times over and over and over again.
The wait is usually 5 to 10 minutes.
Because it's a different ride every time. Yeah. So we're like, all right, well, let's go on it one more time. Or we'll go like back to it later in the day. Like, let's do Star Tours again because it's going to be different this time.
Now, if you are looking for Star Tours, it is not in Galaxy's Edge. So this is one of the original rides at MGM way before Galaxy's Edge was ever built. So, but like we said, the theming of the theming of the queue is it's good, but it's older.
It's old. Yeah.
It's a little bit older.
It's my Star Wars.
Yeah, you get to see the cool AT-AT when you walk in, or AT-AT for those in
R2-D2
and stuff like that. And it's piloted by R2 and C-3PO, which are 2 favorite droids, right? It's really great, and the 3D in it is really wonderful.
Yeah, it's a better ride than you expect when you get in it. Like, you're like, okay, maybe this is going to be a little like lame, you know. And you get in, you put a seatbelt on. I mean, for what it is, it really jerks you around a lot and like makes you feel like you're flying on this ship, and then you're landing and you're, you know, encountering people that are like shooting at you. And I'm telling you, it's a much
Yeah.
better ride than people think it is. Maybe we shouldn't put this out there because I don't want the line to get longer.
Right, that's going to be a longer line. So the one thing, the crowd reaction is pretty great on it too, because usually it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and everyone's screaming and laughing and having
Yeah.
a great
No,
time.
it's really
and it makes
great.
it fun. And particularly if you get like a younger high school crowd in there, they really kind of amp it up and they have a great time with
Yeah.
it. No, we actually really, it's secretly one of our favorite rides across all the parks.
I would say, oh, and I didn't mention this, but you have to be 40 inches to ride it. So yes,
right.
you do have to be
That's
40
right.
inches, but I would say that it's a great option for a short ride that, not a short ride, a short line that doesn't necessarily need a lightning lane that you can go on multiple times. And if the park is packed and you're like, I don't know what to do, just hop in line for Star Tours because it's great.
Yeah, and even when you see a queue time at Disney World in general, typically the wait time is less than the queue time advertised. We've noticed that for
Usually.
some, and I think maybe Disney does a little bit of work in the crowd around the park where they want them to. They can artificially increase times to keep people on one side of the park or move them.
That's our theory, at
That's
least.
a conspiracy theory,
Yes.
probably, but we'll find out. So our oldest son is actually part of the DCP program
Yeah.
there, and he's going to be earning his ears coming up here in August. So it'll be fun to ask him maybe some of the behind the scenes stuff, whatever he's allowed to tell us.
Right, we're not allowed to necessarily share everything.
Sure.
But
So maybe he can give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain there, and
Yeah.
we can figure out what's going on. So
All right.
sticking with Star Wars,
Number 3.
is going to be Rise of the Resistance.
Star Wars Ride of the Resistance.
So this ride, it's really probably one of the greatest ride systems in all of Disney in general, right? The Imagineering behind it is incredible. The scale of this ride is what impresses me the most. So I guess to get on the premise of what the ride is exactly, you go through the queue, and it's kind of underground and very Star Warsy, and it's like a rundown facility. And then you realize that you need to help the Resistance do this thing, and you load onto this ship, which is part of the pre-ride thing. And as your ship is flying along, it's actually captured by the First Order, and it's brought onto this giant starship.
Don't
And
give too much.
I'm trying not to. And then when you open the doors and the first officer from the First Order comes in, and he starts barking orders at you. So be aware that they are not nice on this ship intentionally. So I've heard some people say, "Oh, they aren't very nice in here." Well, it's intentional. They're playing.
They're not
a
supposed to
role.
be nice.
But when you come out and you walk into this hangar, right? And I think you've probably seen it online if you haven't. It's just incredible. The scale is just absolutely phenomenal. So it goes on. You become a prisoner. You get broken out, and you go on this crazy ride on this rideless track through all of these Star
You're
Wars
trying to
imagery
escape.
things, and you're escaping and
Yeah.
jump in the escape pod, and you take off and you go. It's probably one of the most ambitious rides
Yeah, it's
that Disney has ever put together.
It's very impressive. I mean, the amount of time that they spent on the queue and the pre-ride setup, it makes you feel like the whole thing is the ride.
For sure.
So there's a lot of things that I could say about this. Number one is
Well,
you
you've
have to
rode
be.
it.
I
You've
have.
been on this ride.
Yep, I have. You have to be 40 inches to ride this ride. If you're a huge Star Wars fan, it's a can't miss ride.
Cannot miss this ride.
If you're
Even
not
if you're not a big Star Wars
if you're
fan.
not a huge Star Wars fan, the only issue with this ride is the queue. You will wait 2 to 3 hours for the queue on this ride. The only other option to bypass that is to purchase the individual lightning lane in the morning if you want to ride it, and that will get you on in no time. The ride itself is a trackless not a coaster. Sorry, the
Not a
coaster is the
coaster,
wrong
yeah.
word. It's just a trackless ride mechanism.
Yeah, think like Remy's or something
Mickey
like
and
that.
Minnie's
Yeah.
is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great. I mean, it really is great.
No, it is great. And I think, this would have ranked higher up on my list personally if it wasn't broken down all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people stand in line for 2 hours waiting to get on this ride, and then it breaks down.
Yeah.
And then it breaks down all the time.
Yeah.
And that, like I said, once again, Disney being overly ambitious with this ride, and there is a lot jam-packed in this ride. This is a 20-minute experience.
It's an experience. That's a
Yeah.
good way, great way to describe
Yeah,
it.
that's what this really is. So this is a can't miss, but understand, my best bet, I would say, for you is to purchase this.
I agree.
100%, because even if it breaks down and you don't get a chance to get on it, you'll get refunded.
I agree.
Because otherwise, you're standing in line for something that you may not ever get a chance to get on. Because
Right.
we've seen it close the whole day.
Yep. And we talked about this when we talked about Pandora Flight of Passage.
Mm-hmm.
How long would you be willing to wait in a queue for this ride?
About 90 minutes. That's
Yeah.
that's my max for. Well, there's only like 3 rides in all of like all of Disney World. I would wait that long for.
Right. In general, yeah.
In general, and they just so happen to be all ones that you can buy individual lightning lanes.
Yeah,
for.
and so it makes sense. Disney's not stupid.
They're not stupid.
Yeah, so I would say 90 minutes. The queue is very rarely ever less than 90 minutes, ever. Yeah. Unless it's like first thing in the morning where, so the other option is to rope drop it,
You
I
can
guess.
rope drop it.
Yeah,
Yep.
so if you want to rope drop it, get in for early entry if you're staying on resort property and just go straight there. Or we've seen it super low, like right before the park closes. So if you get in line before the park closes, they have to let you on the ride.
And the other cool thing about getting on it that late is when you come off of the ride, Galaxy's Edge, first of all, it's lit up, it's gorgeous, it's empty. And there's absolutely nobody in Galaxy's Edge, which is really cool if you're a Star Wars fan like I am, because when do you get to walk around a whole Star Wars land by yourself, essentially, right? And you'll see people that have caught on, they'll be walking around with their lightsabers and things like that and taking photo opportunities. And
we did that. Yeah. It was great. Not with lightsabers, but,
but
we were there one time at night.
We were
when it
there.
was like completely empty. You were in your glory.
We'll have to post some of those pictures too.
Yeah.
But like we've even seen, like they'll have like celebration type stuff there. So Star Wars, May the 4th is kind of a huge deal for Star Wars, and they also have Star Wars Celebration coming up, which I think runs till June 2nd or something like that. Anyways, it's just really incredible. Don't miss this ride. Like, even if you're not, just please don't miss this ride, because it's something that is, like I said, once again, very ambitious and something you can appreciate as what they're trying to do, and it shows you maybe what the future of rides at Disney World are.
Nobody other than Disney is doing a ride like this.
No.
Nobody.
No. They don't have the capability.
Yeah. All right, number 2. Number two is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. This is probably could have went between number 1 and number 2. It's one of our family's favorite rides, and this goes all the way between you and I and to our boys. Oh, yeah. One of which is 10, one of which is 18. Yeah. Both of them love this ride.
It's great.
And it is the only ride at Walt Disney World, fun fact, that actually features Mickey Mouse. There are no other Mickey Mouse rides at Walt Disney World.
How did I not know that?
And Minnie Mouse. Right. Yes, that's it. So I think that's why they built it.
That's crazy.
So this ride, there is no height requirement, which makes it a great option for even the little ones. And the ride is geared towards little ones. So it's like the old Mickey cartoon. And you go in, same system as Remy's and Rise of the Resistance. It's a trackless cart. It's a trackless system. And the queue is awful. It's awful. It doesn't matter. You're not there for that queue.
The pre-show queue.
But the pre-show is adorable. Everything up from the pre-show to getting into the ride is great, but the queue is awful. I mean, you're mostly standing outside. There's nothing to look at. It's in the heat if it's in the, during the heat of the summer. So whatever, it doesn't matter. But the ride itself is adorable. You go through, there's a lot of bright colors and colorful music, and there's a lot going on and a lot to look at. There's nothing scary. There's even like a little 3D part that makes you feel like you're going down a waterfall. And it's adorable. And you can ride, all 4 of us can fit in one row.
Yes.
So you may even be able to fit like 4 to 6, depending on the size of the people that are with you. Mm-hmm. And there's 2 rows, so you'll ride with another family. And this is definitely...
I think if you have 6, they may actually just split you up 3 and 3 in one cart.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say this is definitely another not miss. This is often the ride that we will do. We actually will pick this first on our Genie Plus and not Slinky Dog.
Yeah.
And
which is kind of sad.
I mean, we just love it. Yeah. I don't know.
So those of you that haven't been to the park in a long time, this actually takes place in the Chinese theater where the old Great Movie Ride used to be. So it replaced the Great Movie Ride. And there are lots of cute little callbacks to that and hints and stuff like that. Like, for instance, when you're riding the trackless cart through Mickey and Minnie's, you come to a room with a tornado, and that's actually the exact same room that the Wizard of Oz was located in before. So they do cute little things like that real Disney nerds, Disnerds, I think they call them, like really, pick up on. But it's great.
It's a classic. It's a classic Disney ride. Like
it's got all the classics, have to do it. Right? It's got the Fab Four in it, right? It's Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, Daisy.
I think so.
Yeah, so they're all in there, which is great. And a little orange bird at the end. Too,
this is a not. Do not miss this ride. And the queue varies. I would say typically like an hour wait,
Yeah, I'd say
give
an
or
hour
take.
wait, yeah.
And again, we often go during peak times. So these are our wait times that we're used to because we're going over holidays when our kids are on breaks from school. So we don't think have ever been there during an off-season time aside from when COVID was, or from when the pandemic was happening. So I don't, we're used to these long waits. You guys may be listening to this in like an hour, 2 hours, 90 minutes. For us, that's our normal. And when you go during peak seasons, those are the wait times you should expect.
Or larger.
At minimum,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, even like when we were just there in March, like the first couple days,
Pre-spring
there
break.
was like nobody there
Yeah.
pre-spring break, and then the spring break crowd hit, and it was like, it's busy.
Yeah.
Like there's we're kind of used to that, like
Yeah.
the shoulder to shoulder walking through the parks,
Yeah.
huge wait times. But we're in a situation where we're lucky enough that we can go often, and we can be like, I don't feel like waiting
Yeah.
an hour and a
Yeah.
half to get on Astro Orbiter today. We'll hit it next time we come back or something like that. So,
I would say definitely take your kids on Mickey and Minnie's.
100%. And if you don't take your kids, take me. So,
And me.
well, yeah, you too.
All right, number 1.
Oh, but my favorite room is the Daisy room, the Daisy dance
yes,
room.
yes,
I love
but
that
don't,
room.
no spoilers. So, no.
It's on YouTube. You can find it. I just love that ride. I love the nostalgia behind it. Right?
It's great.
That's what's great about it. And if you're afraid of electricity, just wait till the end.
Number 1.
Number 1. All right. I love this ride. Our little guy has started to love this ride.
Mm-hmm.
Our bigger little guy, I don't know if he likes this ride or not.
He likes it.
I think he does like it. I
It
think
might not be one of his favorites, but he goes on it every time.
So there's obviously the only one left in the entire park is Tower of Terror.
Twilight Zone Tower of
Right.
Terror.
So this is
And
located.
I do not ride this ride.
You do not.
I know
ride this
you
ride.
all are really surprised.
I'm sure they are. So this takes place at the Hollywood Hotel, and it takes you through this whole Twilight Zone story about how back in the 1920s or whatever, it was this amazing hotel, and then one night it got struck by lightning and service. A big story. Anyways, for those of you that don't know, this is an elevator simulated ride where it kind of takes you partially trackless too, almost I think. And it takes
I've never been on it.
it takes you through the hotel. You take the service elevator up, and the theming is wonderful, and it's old, and it's run down. There's cobwebs everywhere, and it's great. And actually, a little aside here: when you walk in through the queue, you walk past like the concierge, and there's like a little like a thing on the wall where they put like the little letters in that tell you like room number, floor number, go down here, go left here, whatever it might be to the lobby. If you look in the case and you look at the bottom, like the letters that have fallen off of the specific words say, take the stairs.
Oh, yeah. I've
And
seen
it's
that.
really cute. Like it's just laying in the bottom. And unless you really got in there and looked, you would have no idea.
But that's what makes Disney so great.
Yeah.
They do that
Hidden
with
everywhere.
everything.
Yeah. And the queue is fantastic, right? Like that's great. You walk into a separate room and they give you like a little pre-show, and then you funnel in and you get into the depths of the hotel. And then you get on your elevator, right?
Right, and it holds
A
a
lot.
lot of people, right?
A lot of people.
So does the line move fairly quickly?
So it splits at one point. So there are two separate elevators that it goes onto, and you take left or right, whatever. I think the left side is usually shorter. So you load in there. I think it's like 6 rows of like 7. So like
Yeah,
probably
it's a lot.
30 some people at
Yeah.
least on this. It's pretty cool. Like
And for those that don't know, it takes you up and then it drops
Yeah,
you down, and then
well,
you
it
go
takes-
up and down. And you
There's
go up and
there's a little bit
down.
more to it than that. So it actually takes you up, and then it gives you like little cues, little stories, and you see some cool Pepper's ghost illusions, which is the same illusion you see at Haunted Mansion where the ghosts are dancing, and you can see through them. And then it takes you to another area, and then eventually it rolls you forward.
I hope you can see through them.
Well, that's why you can see through them, because they're ghosts. Ooh. Anyway, so then it rolls you forward, and they open up the doors, and you can see outside, right? And this is right before the drop happens. And it's actually an exaggerated drop. So they actually built a mechanism that pulls you down
yes.
or pulls you up so that
Yes.
you're actually going faster than normal drop velocity would be,
Yes.
which is great. And the one thing that I feel like they've added over the last 8-10 years is there are more drops included.
Oh.
So they'll drop you down, they'll pull you up, they'll drop you down, they'll drop you halfway down, they'll lift you halfway up, they'll bounce you around. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I am one of those guys that like my stomach doesn't like do like the Like, I don't know what it's called, like where you lose your stomach when you're like going over a coaster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever get that anymore. And this is the only ride that comes close to it. And I love that feeling. So that's why I love this ride. And like, Anthony even likes it now. He was scared of it. I think he was scared of the ghosts, not the ride.
Yeah, it's just like the Yeti, scared of the Yeti at Everest instead of the ride
that he's
itself.
only 10, right? Like,
yeah.
so he's just now like getting past all that stuff and going, oh, that's not real.
Right.
Yeah. So love this ride. Like I said, queue's great. Lightning lanes book up really quick for this one too.
Yeah.
But usually later.
Yeah, I was to say, we usually can still get a lightning lane when the second round comes around for it.
Yeah, almost always. I think, and we have an easy time like getting a lightning lane for Mickey and Minnie's because everyone grabs Slinky.
Yeah.
Everyone grabs Slinky.
Yeah.
And also we were talking about rope dropping, right? And I wanted to go back to that really quick. Can you rope drop both sides of the Chinese theater? Because Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, you would go to the left. I think would be easier, so you're not going through all of that Toy Story
Yes,
traffic.
you can rope drop anything at Hollywood. Magic Kingdom is the only park that isn't all open.
Yeah, so if you're trying to rope drop either Slinky or Rise, go to the right if you're going on Slinky to stay out of the Toy Story traffic, and go to the left if you're going on Rise to stay out of the Toy Story traffic. Like you just said
the same.
Well, I'm sorry.
You're going into the Toy Story traffic.
Stay
with
away
Slinky.
from the Toy Story traffic if you're going on Rise, and if you're go with the Toy Story traffic if you're going to Toy Story Land.
Yes.
Yeah. But they're opposite sides of the park.
So when you're
split pretty quick.
if you've never been, if you're walking in facing the Chinese theater, you go right to get to Slinky, or you go left to get to Rise of the Resistance. For those that need to know which direction.
Yeah.
If they're rope dropping.
Yeah. So that's the entire park, right?
That's the entire park.
So just we'll go over it one more time real quick. So Aliens, Smugglers, Toy Story, Rockin', Slinky, Star Tours, Rise, Mickey and Minnie's, and Tower. We're comfortable with that? I don't know if anybody else is going to be comfortable with that.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
That's our ride rating.
More importantly, we're here to give information on what these things are for those that may not know. I don't know if I said it or not, but you do have to be 40 inches to ride Tower of Terror. 40 inches is the height restriction on that one.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep saying restriction. It's requirement. Height requirement.
Room of requirement. That's
So, I mean, all in all, Hollywood Studios is a great park, especially when you list the rides out that are there. I think it's probably last on our list because, like we previously said, it doesn't feel as Disney and it doesn't feel as magical, but the rides there are great, especially if you have a little bit of like maybe older kids. Mm-hmm. I would say if you're going with young kids and that's all you have with you, you might be able to either skip Hollywood or only make it like a half-day thing.
Yeah, I think Hollywood is ride heavy, right? I think it's probably one of the more ride heavy. And when I say ride heavy, I know it only has 9 and Animal Kingdom has 7. But I mean ride heavy as in they're probably 9 of the better rides across all of Disney World.
I just think that they're geared more towards older kids.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so that's going to do it. So it's time for
Game time.
Game time.
Today we're just going to go into our original game of this or that.
This or that.
All right, who's going to start?
You.
Okay. Staying in Hollywood Studios theming-ish, Tower of Terror or Haunted Mansion?
Oh. Those are very different rides.
You have to pick, and you can't have longer.
It depends on what I'm going for.
Pick.
Haunted Mansion.
Wow.
It's the nostalgia for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love the cheekiness on Haunted Mansion.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just do.
Okay.
All right. So let's go. Toy Story Mania. Why are you laughing?
I'm just laughing. Go ahead.
Toy Story Mania or Test Track?
I'm going Toy Story Mania.
See, yours. People are gonna be like, "Why would you take that or that?" I feel the same way that they feel about
I don't know.
Haunted Mansion.
I just like. I like the friendly competition on Toy Story Mania. Test Track is one that I can ride, but I could probably ride again since we go so often. I could probably ride it like every other time. I want to ride Toy Story Mania every time we're there, so that's how I chose that.
Just an update that's closing here pretty soon.
Oh yeah, Test Track. We just saw that. They're getting retheming. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, jumping to Epcot. Flower and Garden Festival.
You are cheating. She
Or
has this written down.
food and
these
wine.
are not supposed to be pre-prepared.
I was thinking about them while you were talking.
Oh boy, I'm in for it. Flower
and Garden or Food and Wine.
Flower and Garden.
Yeah, I would say the same.
Yeah, I mean, I love the food stands at Food and Wine, but
Well,
the
they all
Flower and
have
Garden.
they all have food stands.
Yeah, I know, but they're more specific. Like it's more
Yeah.
concentrated. Food
Yes.
stands are everywhere. But the Flower and Garden, the park is so pretty.
Yeah.
During Flower and Garden.
And the topiaries are amazing.
Incredible, right? Everything's it's so colorful, and I just love it.
Yes.
All right. Well,
You probably should have prepared something.
I probably should have prepared something because I'm like sitting here like I don't know. All right, so I have a goofy this or that. So you don't like to ride
Goofy or Mickey?
Yeah. I have one that's not a typical, but since you don't ride a lot of roller coasters, you have to choose one of these that you would ride.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go Rock and Roller Coaster or Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's probably the best choice.
Yeah.
Because I would definitely choose Guardians over that.
I could never, I don't know, just the thought of the upside down.
Okay, well then let me rephrase it then. Let's go Space Mountain or Guardians of the Galaxy.
I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, from what I hear, is a better ride in general, so I still would probably choose that.
From a easier for you to do, what do you think would be better?
Oh, easier for me to do. I don't know. I feel like I could almost do Space Mountain because it's slow, but it's the dark and the
it's like 23
quick
miles
drops
an hour.
that
So
make
there are a lot of
it
drops
scary.
on it,
So
there
I don't
aren't
know.
there aren't any real drops on Guardians, but there are a lot of drops.
Yeah, I don't know.
Space.
I don't know. I don't do either one of them,
I
so.
know. It was a hypothetical this or that.
All right. Park icons. Hollywood Hotel, Tower of Terror, or Epcot, Spaceship Earth.
Spaceship Earth.
Ball.
Spaceship Earth.
Okay.
It's so iconic.
It is iconic.
It's
so I feel
iconic.
like the Hollywood Hotel is also iconic.
Yeah, I feel like it was probably. I think when they turned the Hollywood Hotel or the Hollywood, it's still Hollywood Hotel.
Yeah.
In Disneyland into Breakout
Yeah.
Mission
Breakout for
with at the Avengers thing.
campus.
I think it lost its luster for me. I mean, it's just
Yeah, but they didn't do that here.
the thing it just looks like a big building. So the thing that I'm judging this by is
And Epcot looks like a big golf ball.
that's great, but have you ever seen that before? No. It's a geodesic sphere, and you've never seen that anywhere before. Just like you've never seen
I'm not arguing with
fairy
you.
tale castles,
Especially at night. I mean, the
Tree of
ball is
Life.
clearly better
Yes.
lit up at night than the Hollywood Hotel is.
Yeah, and I
I'm
mean,
not
I
arguing
get that
with
they
you.
center shows around the Hollywood Hotel, but it's like, okay,
I agree.
great,
I agree.
yay,
All right.
great. All right, so I've asked you before, Christmas or fall, like the Halloween setup, as far as what you like, and you chose Christmas, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the one time, I don't know where I was going with this. I completely just lost my train of thought. So knowing Christmas or the fall, crowd times are vastly different.
Okay.
Would you rather go during the fall or Christmas based on crowds only?
Oh, during the fall.
So you'd rather go in the fall. So like I'm talking like pre-Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
I mean, any time you give me a low crowd versus a high crowd time, I'm going to choose the low crowd time.
Even though you like the park better
No.
in the theming. So the theming is not as important as
I do not
park
like
crowds.
the park better. You asked me fall or Christmas. If I could choose ultimately, if I'm being honest, I like the park with nothing. I don't know.
Really?
I'm one of those, like, I don't need the holiday spirit while I'm on vacation. Like, I love Christmas at home. When I'm on vacation, I don't need the theming of Christmas.
Well, and I think that's one thing that got you this year. So we went, January 1st through like the 9th or whatever it was?
Yeah.
And it was still Christmas
still
there.
Christmas.
And you were like, when is Christmas over?
I know. I want it to be gone.
And we had left early enough that Christmas didn't end at our house yet, right? We still had all of our
Yeah,
decorations
Christmas
up and
went on
everything.
forever.
So then we came home and it was still Christmas at home. And you were just like, okay,
Yeah,
I am
no.
so done with this. So the day we got home, you're like, all right, this is all
No.
coming
Yeah,
down.
I
Like,
take
it was a big deal.
I take the plain park over any decor. That's probably, some people probably will disagree with that, but I'm on vacation. Like, I don't need to feel, I don't know, I feel the Christmas spirit while I'm at home with my family. Like, I don't,
Sure.
It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It is beautiful. It is fantastic. Disney does every holiday great. But ultimately, I would choose nothing. And I would also ultimately choose any low crowd time over any high crowd time in the parks.
Yeah,
the more we go, the more the high crowds are starting to bother me a little bit more because
Sure.
it's so much.
All right, I have one more for you. Oh, go ahead and you go. You go.
I have one more for you.
Okay.
On our most recent trip, we tried the famous spring rolls at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say the spring rolls, and you didn't eat the cheeseburger one as much as I did.
I had one bite. Yep.
So I'm going to say the cheeseburger spring roll because I think it's better than the pepperoni one was.
I would agree.
Or the stuffed pretzel that you love in Frontierland.
Oh, so little hint, the superior pretzel in all of Disney is the pepper jack stuffed pretzel in Frontierland.
You can only find it in Frontierland.
It's so much better. I think so too. It's so much better than
it's
the
really
original
good.
Mickey
It is
pretzel.
good.
Because they give you that little cup of like invigorated cheddar nacho cheese to dip your. It's so gross. It's like
Come on.
gelatinous.
It's a Mickey pretzel. Don't.
The shape is iconic, and the shape of the pepper jack pretzel is
Mickey
also is also Mickey. Okay, so
Okay.
they are both the
All right,
same.
answer the
look.
question.
Oh, it's the pepper jack pretzel.
Really?
Oh my goodness!
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Not even close.
I
Not even
loved
close.
the cheeseburger spring roll. That is probably one of my new favorite snacks at Magic
Everybody
Kingdom.
loves the spring rolls. Everybody loves spring rolls.
I will
It's
get it
great.
every
It's
time we're
great.
there.
I'm taking the pepper jacks. I don't like pretzels,
And you're
and
taking
I
the
like
pretzel.
that.
Okay.
And I think it's just because of the cheese on the inside.
Okay.
All right. So sticking with food.
Yes.
If
Last
you had
one.
to choose food, right? I'm gonna go Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. Which place are you taking food from?
you
And I
picked
know I picked
the
this
two
because the two
worst.
worst, in your opinion.
In my opinion, they're the two worst. Oof. I'm gonna say Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. Well, it's got the spring rolls.
No, that's not the reason. I think that I have a lot of favorite snacks at Magic Kingdom. I don't know that restaurant wise, quick service wise, I think they're about equal. But I have more favorite snacks at Magic than I do at Hollywood.
See, this is really tough for me because I feel like Epcot takes
Well, of course.
the prize, right?
Yeah.
And then everyone else is just trying to fight for second.
Yeah, although Animal Kingdom has great food too.
So if you right, well they do. They have good restaurants.
And Little Sands. They
Yeah,
do.
some of the stands are good. The quick serve is okay. I feel like there's less to snack
One of our
on.
favorite quick
It's
serves is there.
taco, I know what I mean.
No.
What? Oh, yeah.
At the Harambe Market. Yeah, Animal Kingdom
It
has
is.
great food.
It is. But like you're right though. If you're talking about snacking specifically, I think Magic is probably the top tier.
Aside from Epcot. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you have
Yeah.
to remove Epcot from the situation because Epcot would just beat everybody no matter what.
Yep.
But no, I think Magic Kingdom beats a lot of those, right? They've got the waffles and the cinnamon rolls and the churros and pretzels, and now they've got beignets in Frontierland over by Tiana's, which hopefully is opening soon.
Yeah.
But that's, I think it's time to go. I think I've been told it's time to go. I'm getting the look of let's wrap it up. So that's this week's episode. So we finished at Hollywood.
Yep, we're
We
gonna cover-
finished with Animal Kingdom,
Next week we're gonna do Epcot.
Epcot.
Yeah.
So of course, in typical fashion,
Save
we'll
Magic
save
for last.
Magic for last.
Magic has the most, I think, so it's gonna take us a little bit longer to get through Magic.
That might almost have to be a two-parter. That's
we'll
a
see.
pretty big.
We can
park.
speed up the amount of time we spend on each ride.
No, I think I like spending the amount of time we spend on each ride.
All right, so yeah, next week will be Epcot rides.
So that's going to do it for this week's podcast. Thank you so much for joining Amy and I today. If you like what you heard or want to hear any more tips or tricks, please tune in next week.
And if you need help planning any of your trips or have any other questions in general, you can find me at discovermagictravel.com.
And as always, you can find us on all socials at Discover Magic Podcast. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you soon. Bye.